All right, folks, the Utah market has changed. In fact, we have prices in the Utah market where you can get a home for $1.5 million in the location, others as low as $332. So let me let you know what the facts are, what you should know about the Wasatch Front, and any market updates that you should know, especially if you're looking at buying, selling, or investing in the Salt Lake, Utah, Wasatch Front, East Bench, West Bench market. So check this out. Recently, we had our chief economist, our friend Dayan Eskik, our chief economist. He was one of my professors at the University of Utah when I got my master's in real estate development. Great teacher. Guess what? Have some data out. Salt Lake Board of Realtors has given us some additional information, but I want to get you some of the data that you should know if you're evaluating the market in general. Folks, right now, if you look in Alpine, the average median price right now is $1.5 million for a single family home. The cheapest in the market that we could locate is out in Dugway, where the average property is closer to $332,000. Now, in the Salt Lake Valley, in the Wasatch Front, in Salt Lake, what we're looking at is the average price is $645,000. Now, that is the highest we have seen since Q2 of 2022. Now, do you remember what happened in that time frame? We had interest rates that were ridiculously low. In fact, we remember how we had these interest rates were 3-4%, and then we ended up having a change where interest rates went up, and then we had a little bit of a change in the market, a little bit of a change in demand, the way people purchased. And so that's how we saw things adjust. Now, many people in the market right now, whether it be agents, buyers, sellers, I have a lot of agents coming to my office. They are concerned because their properties aren't selling. Now, I don't want you to think that's a bad thing. The reason they're not selling is due to three things. They're not being priced correctly. The condition and the showability of those properties are not at their maximum. And three, they're not doing what they need to do in properly marketing and positioning that property to the market so they can properly evaluate it. Let me give you some quick data so that you can understand what I'm saying, okay? In the Wasatch Front, average days on market is running right now is at 52 days on market. Okay, Wasatch Front, what does that cover? Folks, we're basically going from Provo all the way out to Ogden, and then we're also going up into Tooele and Summit County. Okay, we're trying to take into account some different markets. Now, remember, Summit County has its own data, so just I did not include that in this. Well, that's kind of Wasatch Front, Wasatch Back is what they refer to it. Okay, so Wasatch Front in general, 52 days on market. Just so you know, 52 days on market, that is actually up compared to this time last year. Why is it up? Because we actually have a little bit more inventory than we did this time last year. But coincidentally, our under contracts are also up when you look at that. Now, a lot of folks and a lot of clients that we work with here in Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, I want you to know the East Bench and West Bench markets. East Bench, interesting fact, our East Bench is 44 days on market, where our West Bench is closer to 57 days on market. Hey, Wasatch Front's at 52, right? So why would it be different? Why would we have less days on market on the East Bench where price per square foot tend to be higher versus on the West side? Well, folks, guess what? We have pockets. And that's one of the things that I want you to be aware of. Micro neighborhoods are having micro changes. We have some zip codes that are appreciating. We have other zip codes that are competing directly with new construction, where new construction is offering incentives, free basements, lower interest rates, and it's not helping these properties that were purchased, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And they have these new construction that they cannot compete with. It's just different. So when you're evaluating the market, days on market, knowing if it's up or down, you do need to know inventory, absorption rate. What is your competition? But the best thing you can do in today's market, if you're evaluating homes, know your market, know your neighborhood, and make sure it's exposed properly. People are more savvy and smart than they have ever been in today's market. So you have to look at the market and say, what do I need to change? What needs to be improved? And what are the things that I need to do different in order to showcase, in order to be something compelling on the market? Folks, buyers are going to come in, 110-1 rule. Look at 100 online, narrow it down to their top 10 and pick one. You've got to be the one. So agents, when they come into me, I'm like, what are you doing different to showcase the property? And I'm telling you, the multiple listing service doesn't work. Folks, it does work. It does work. But if the multiple listing service went away, I'm telling you, our properties still sell. Why? Because they spend the money and the time to put it in places and platforms and exposure so it would still sell. I have two properties that we sold to people that had never seen the home. They'd never seen it. We gave them the keys, and the day they got the keys is the day they physically walked the property. That's because we did 3D tours. That's because we did video tours. Yes, did we maybe meet a cousin or a friend or somebody there that looked at physically? Absolutely. But we had to get them in the door. We had to keep them there, and we had to make sure that they essentially wrote the contract and make sure it got done. So folks, in general, just, in the Wasatch Front market in general, strong market, interest rates running around 6.5%. They've been kind of up and down, right? We've seen it as high as 7, where it was, months ago. We saw it get as low as like kind of 6 and an 8, but it's hovering around that 6.5. But in the end, what you need to know, the market is still strong. A lot of people are really nervous. They're like, things are going to change. And guess what, folks? Things always do change, but not the way you think. 2008, unemployment. We had a lot of distressed sellers. We had really horrible lending practices. Guess what? I've been through all the cycles. I've been in this business 20 years now, folks. It's really crazy to think it's past that quick. But I'll tell you now, what we're seeing is strong economic factors, great employment, strong buyers. We still have people that are purchasing properties and making strong offers if your property matches the criteria they're looking for. So it's got to be prepared, it's got to be showcased, and it's got to be marketed by the right folks. So if you need any help with any of your properties, buying, selling, investing in real estate, how you should evaluate them specifically today, because it's different than yesterday, please give us a call. Looking forward to helping you out. Best of luck.